with the Roadie.
Welcome to a new series of Paranormal After Dark. I'm your host, the Roadie. Joining me tonight, Lea and Mel, Spirit and the Skeptic. So what I want to know is which one of you is the Skeptic?
Traditionally me.
Okay,
coming into it.
Because I sit right in the middle.
Yeah. I definitely came in as the Skeptic. Things are changing my mind slowly. I think same.
Yep.
Yeah, same with my hubby. Like, he's come along for a couple of things, was a really strong skeptic, and now he's going, okay, it's interesting.
It is. Yeah. It is very interesting because I sort of sat in the. Well, I've sat in the middle on that sort of, on. If you want to talk about skepticism on the spirit type of thing for years, I've always been an alien guy, right? You know, no doubt there's aliens out there, that sort of stuff. But the spirit thing, you know. But as I've got older, I've kind of sat in the middle. But then things have happened, done investigations. So it's kind of So how did you guys get interested in teaming up together and doing it anyway? I mean, because you're skeptic and a spirit, it's kind of like sometimes it doesn't work.
I actually connected with Paranormal New Zealand when they came to T-Rail, which is my hometown. And, me having the spiritual background, the medium aspects, being quite sensitive, open and grounded at the same time. And that just, to me, clarified that this is my passion and this is a new path. And we met at...
It was Waiuku. Yeah, Waiuku Museum, one of the Paranormal New Zealand events.
Right, so just for clarification, listeners, Mel's the believer that's just spoken, and Lea was the skeptic. So just so we know for radio what's going on. so Waiuku, so you met there. So tell me about some of the investigations you guys have been on. Like, I mean, I guess to start with, where are your beliefs grounded? Because I've got an interesting theory on how and why we investigate the way we do. But so where are your beliefs grounded in terms of the spiritual side of things?
Mm-hmm. I'm probably more agnostic. There's something there. I was brought up Anglican. I feel like that's probably the closest alignments in terms of religious approach. But I don't know, I'm open to it, I think. I'm just not sure what the truth is. Just like anyone, I guess we're looking for the actual answers. Yeah.
See, for me, I always say this to paranormal investigators and people who do, I think sometimes we're looking at it the wrong way, right? But why I say that is that whether we're Christian or not, we're in a westernized Christian society, right? Okay, and everything that we look at is, whether we're believing it or not that way, it's from that way. So in terms of someone screams demon, that's Christianity, right? But you go back to our ancestors, like, thousands of years ago, they weren't Christian, they were Celtic, they were whatever. They had like gods, they were living supposedly with gods around them every day, and they weren't screaming demon and possession and all this sort of stuff. So what I'm saying is, that's the way I look at it, is, are we looking at it the wrong way, and is that why no one's found anything definitive, right?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, we try to be open-minded with our approach. I mean, from time to time we use things like karakia if we feel like we need to, particularly in the New Zealand context. It seems probably relevant. So many of the places we investigate tend to have some sort of iwi connection or burial ground connections, going way back before colonialism. So, I think it depends where you are. Like, if you're over in Europe or something, you've got to look at the actual history of the land and what's going on underneath everything. It's not necessarily rooted in what you know and trust in your instincts. Yeah.
And that's good, Lea, because that's where I think a lot of, you watch a lot of these investigators on YouTube, and I was watching one guy one day in the UK, and he was wandering around a Viking graveyard, and I'm talking to them, and he's talking to them in English, and I'm like, hang on, yeah, the Vikings, right? Yeah, ancient. And it's kind of like, would they understand you? And that's the thing about, you say about the Harry and all that thing. They were in the land for thousands of years before we are, and if spirits exist, there's more than likely their spirits are a lot of them are around, and they're the ones you're going to come across before you come across a European one. You know, I don't know, but it's certainly interesting. Yeah, just the way we look at it, I often think that you just look at it as this kind of black and white. Because we're in a Christian Western society, there's God, there's heaven, there's hell, there's angels, there's demons, all that, and it's all looked at from that point of view.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
This, particularly in New Zealand, it's interesting to naturally jump to English and colonialism as the answer, because our history isn't that far back. Like, you go over to Europe, you go over to America, it goes way, way deeper than New Zealand's history.
That's right. But even in the UK, you know, you see guys standing in an old castle or an old home from Tudor times, and they're calling out in modern English, and I'm sitting there thinking, well, you're talking to some dude in bloody Saxon England. He might not even understand what you're saying, right? If he's there at all, you know.
Or even further back, the Romans.
Yeah, you know? Exactly. And as I say, the Vikings, it's kind of like, it's interesting. So in your investigations, anything that's jumped out at you that sort of has been fascinating? I'm always intrigued what people have come across.
We really haven't kind of talked about a particular situation out in the public as such. We had gone to a known location in Auckland. We had a great time. I think we were more scared of the humans than the spirits. So we kind of did what we needed to do. We did get quite a bit, but to be honest with the people that were in there doing their thing, we couldn't kind of get what we needed to get out of the location. So we went back a couple of weeks later, and there was a huge change in the premises, and the fact that there've been skelters and people looting and all that sort of stuff. And being a medium, I have never felt the way that I felt at that location, and I still tremble today that when I seen what I had seen with the staircase being removed, all as I felt was all that pent up energy and stagnant energy, just it turned into something else, because I guess the building was being stripped of its identity, and so we don't like to go down that approach. So to be honest, I gapped it.
You talk about your medium ability, so you're not like one of these ones on TV that sits there going, I've got this old man that talks. You're more genuine, sort of like kind of just feel things, you know?
Not at all, and it's quite funny how that people perceive mediums as, I guess, one straight thing.
That's why I wanted to clarify it.
I see somebody next to you. No, I don't work like that at all. Just a particular location where we entered into, actually a lot of locations that we go to, we don't actually investigate. Well, I don't. I like to go in there with a clean slate, absolutely knowing nothing. And I think that for me, that's a really good way to go. We walked into Riverhead Forest, and instantly, once we started veering off the track, I said to Lea, I felt like somebody was covering my mouth, and I had been bound, and I didn't feel good. And I said to her, I feel like someone had been dragged in here, bound and gagged and buried in a shallow grave. We had done a few EVPs and got quite a bit of response from that yes, that was clarity to say that yes, that happened. And obviously out there we had absolutely no reception anyway, so we couldn't do anything. But the EVPs were saying yes, and we found yes. And then we gathered all of that information up to yes, this particular person served 27 years jail for, was it Nicola Rankin?
Yeah.
So just, I will never say anything unless I absolutely know that there is some relevance that I need to say it right now instead of kind of keep it to myself a little. But I think sometimes that I do that. She says, why didn't you say that to me? Because I felt exactly the same. So it's quite cool how Lea and I formed a connection from when we were introduced. And we just work so well together. And, you know, I solely believe that the less boots that you have on the ground, the better that the investigation's going to become.
Well, see, I like the way that you said you go into it not trying to research anything, right? Because so often I'll watch on YouTube, or I'll tell you about a theatre I'd been involved with for a few years too. People will come in already knowing the stories, and to me, that's half the thing. You're already you're pareidolia.
Yeah.
You hear something, you see something, you're already convinced as to what it is.
Yeah.
You know,
and it takes away from what you do experience, particularly because we've been experimenting a little bit with Estee's method with the full blindfolds, headphones. In one of our locations recently, we got a certain name coming through quite regularly, and we went, okay, let's Google it. Turns out that was the name of the only person that died in the location. But I'm glad we knew that afterwards, not before, because otherwise you're listening for it, and it doesn't bring any value or meaning to what you actually do here at the moment.
That's it, and it's kind of, for example, I was involved with a community theatre for a long time here in Dunedin, and there was always the story of the ghost who haunted the place, who was supposed to be a caretaker who died there in the 80s. And of course everybody knew the story, right? So it was always, you were guaranteed that if they were in that room they were going to feel something or see something or whatever. Whereas with me, I was a technician there, and I spent a lot of time at night during the day there on my own, working on lights, working on sound, and the experience I had wasn't so much that until one point, that I'd seen something or heard something. It was more just a feeling of someone's watching over the place and watching over me, like the caretaker Frank was looking after, and I'd walk in and, morning Frank, evening Frank, and just and say nothing, but it was that feeling that, you know, he was there and he was just doing what he did in the 80s, looked after the place. But the experience for me, and I'm not going to say this is paranormal, right? But I've told Mark this, I've told Sam, I've told a few people, because it's interesting, okay? So there's a self-portrait of this man in the foyer of the theatre, so we know what he looks like, okay? Now, whether or not this was in my mind, this is the thing, right? That I knew that was it. Anyway, I was doing a show one night. The audience, you know, you can see how many are in the audience and who's sitting where, right? So my wife's the front of house manager at the time, and after the show, I'm sitting there waiting for everyone to leave to go and so I can turn all the worker lights on. You know what you do. So I'm sitting there, jeez, there's an old guy sitting in that bloody seat on the end. You know, right on the end there, he's sitting there and he's bloody, he's probably waiting for someone, you know, because people often did that. So I just went about my business, looked up, he was gone, and then I said to Leanne on the way home, I said, yeah, that bloody old guy sitting in the front seat there, what a pain in the arse. I couldn't turn the worker lights on or anything because he was, and she said, what seat was there? I said, row 1A. There was no one sitting there all night. I said, yeah, when you were cleaning up, no, there was no one sitting there. And I went, okay. So okay, cool, maybe it was just some guy had come in and sat down, waited. The next night when we come into the theatre, talking to her in the foyer, and Frank's picture's in the foyer behind her, and I went, that's the guy I saw sitting in the front row. Bang! It looked it had the same, because in the painting he had a hat on and the glasses and that's whether or not that was Frank or it was pareidolia in my head that I'd seen an old man and I thought it looked like him. Only time I'd ever seen anything. But whether it was paranormal, whether it was Frank, who knows? But I always just had a feeling in the place that, yeah, he's here, he's looking and watching over us, that's cool. And the couple of times we had paranormal investigators come in, you know, there was nothing that you could say triggered anything or did anything. And that's where I come to the thing of, I often wonder if, you know, because I put myself in the ghost shoes or the spirit shoes. I go, people are coming into the building and saying, do this for me and do that for me. I'm sitting there going, I'm not performing for you. You know what I mean? Whereas if you just walk into the place and just kind of sit, and maybe it'll happen, you know?
Yeah, I think that actually brings us back to going to this particular location in Auckland where Lea had taken a very good photo from the outside of the building, and we had sent it off to Mark and stuff, and we were just like blown away. This looks like the nurses. This is exactly where they were. How can we debunk this? I said, you need to go back. And so she'd gone back, and she was like, damn it. It was
graffiti
where the window was broken. It looked like her bonnet, and the graffiti on the actual window looked like her outfit. So we were like, we could have left it as, hey, that was a ghost. There's the photo for the proof of what it was. We don't do that. We've got to go back to know that, can we debunk this or not? Or is it what we see it is? Well, it wasn't.
That's it, I mean, and that's a good way of doing it. Rather than just screaming ghost or demon or whatever all the time, you've got to look at every possibility. Because to me, this is what I want to ask you is what do you think the other side is? Like I watch the Ouija brothers, and I watch Ghosts on Trend a little bit, because they go into a lot of old houses, which is quite cool, right? And I'm often sitting there thinking, so you're calling out and you're in a lounge of an old house, okay? Now, if you get a response, this is what I'm trying to say is, what the hell is the other side, for want of a better term? Like, is the guy sitting there in 1986 on his couch and he hears you and he goes, oh, or is the spirit just wandering around the house and knows that he's in 2026 and is wandering around an abandoned house, or do they think that, that's the intriguing thing for me. What is it? Is it actually something like that, or is it just recorded energy that's,
It's that question between residual versus intelligent. I liked what you said before as well about how you don't say it's paranormal. And that's important to us too. So we put up clips of videos things that we find interesting, but we don't specifically say, "Oh, there was a ghost walking down the hallway." We heard footsteps, and we often go, "What do you think?" No one ever replies though. Like it'd be great if some of our followers were like, "Oh, no, I can't hear it," and we'd be like, "Oh, good. Let's cut that out."
But that's the thing. Like, I mean, that's what I say about this theatre. People, someone who came to the theatre just as I was retiring from it about 3 years ago was adamant that she was sitting in the seats one night having a conversation with someone else, right, who was standing on the stage, and I saw Frank in the window of the set, and I'm sitting there going, seriously? And in the 12 years I was in the place, right, I never saw anybody or anything walking around. So are you telling, apart from possibly the sitting in the seat, but that I discounted as probably just being some old chap that no one saw sit down. So what makes her so special that she, straight away you jump to conclusion. Possibly it was somebody, a cast member or a crew member walking past, but you jump straight to the conclusion that it was definitely a ghost. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, I tend to think an old building like a theatre, it's residual stuff. There's probably things that are going on that have been repeated thousands and thousands of times, and just,
Also, there was that research that came out recently in the UK that older buildings with their pipes are actually, it's causing certain wavelengths that are being picked up, and people assume that they're ghosts.
Yeah, okay.
It was quite interesting research to read about, actually. If you look it up. That came out. Yeah,
that is interesting.
Because a lot of these places you go to are old buildings that are abandoned.
We've done a little bit of kind of research around, going to an investigation, and this was another investigation that we did for Paranormal New Zealand, and the weather just changed like this, and there was thunder and lightning, and all of our gadgets were going off. So we're trying to figure out whether are we getting any contact from the spiritual realm, or is this interference potentially through thunder, lightning?
It was the interesting one though. Like, to a certain extent, it felt like it was, but they weren't all going off in tandem. So you'd have the REM pod go off, or the cat balls go off, but the EMF reader would not go up. And you'd think if there was an electrical spike, that, if anything, should go up. So we're like, now we don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because electricities and radio waves are fascinating things, because there's bursts of radio waves all the time that could be certain frequencies that do certain things at certain times, and that's really, I struggle with that kind of gadgetry for that simple reason. With my radio studio here, I could set up a whole lot of stuff around here and get them all going off different when I turn different things on, right? It's hard to know really. And all of our locations, we actually put our phones on airplane mode, so there's no connection between. But
locations, we've had a lot of things going off, but these are houses that don't have water connected, don't have electricity connected, and you go, it's more interesting.
Definitely.
But there are definitely things. Like we had a lot of action going on in Symonds Street Cemetery just by, was it Hobson's grave? I think it was. And we were like, oh, this is interesting. And then I went, but we do have the Grafton Overbridge with like buses, which are electric, running past all the time. And it is not that far removed from that corner. Because once we left that area, it would stop. But when we got back, it would start. And I went, maybe that's our reason.
And there's a lot of radio waves around too. That there's trunking radio, there's Wi-Fi, there's all sorts of data things that are around now that you just can't discount. That stray radio waves will come from somewhere, and that's unfortunate because it's very rare you're going to find a venue or a place that's totally devoid of anything within distance. A car driving past with a radio on might do something, Yeah.
Like when we went to Whātapu Caves, that would be a good place if we did capture something, which we didn't. Because there is literally no one out there. There's nothing for miles around. And interestingly, that's the one place we didn't get anything. So it makes you think. You kind of go, okay. A strong history with all the deaths from the Orpheus and all the bodies that washed up on the beach.
That's true.
So you're thinking if something's going to be out there, that feels like a place that should be 157 dead people,
Yeah, and I think more and more people are using, spirit apps and stuff like that. We try to kind of just sort of move away from that because, they're just not reliable.
That's right. That's exactly right. This is Paranormal After Dark with the Roadie. I've got Mel and Lea here with me from Spirit and the Skeptic. We'll be right back, and we're going to talk more about these gadgets because I'm hot on them.
Paranormal After Dark with the Roadie.
Rocket 88.0 FM.
1987 was the year. Fat Sally, Shadow of the Night, Christchurch hard rock legends. You're on Paranormal After Dark with the Roadie. And we're back with Lea and Mel here from Spirit and the Skeptic. Now, just what we were talking before the break there about gadgets, like you're saying, the ones that really shit me, right? And I'm going to go and I'll reach down and grab something right now here in the studio. So the listeners, I'm holding a radio in my hand, right? Okay, so it's a shortwave radio, FM. Now, the thing that really gets me is I watch them on there. They take this aerial here off, and they go, "Oh, we've taken the telescopic aerial off, right? So now we're going to push scan, and it's going to go through, and it's going to get me a ghost." Well, unfortunately, when you take that aerial off, inside is another aerial, right? A magnet with some wire around it. So, so you push scan, you're actually getting AM or FM or shortwave, depending what you're on, of broadcast stations. And broadcast stations can, especially with FM, you have three. You have a carrier frequency, a left and a right channel. Those channels can bleed over things, right? So you're sitting there going, "Oh, I just heard a well, it's, but we're scanning backwards." Well, yeah, I had a shortwave when I was a kid. I could scan backwards. Backwards doesn't do anything, right? So that's the gadget that shits me the most, really, because it's just
I think that's why we're really getting into the Estes method. It really intrigues us, but we've learned to kind of sometimes you get those frequencies come in where you're getting the dark side of the get outs and all that sort of stuff, that demonic things that we don't look for and we're not interested in at all. But we've learned very much to channel into exactly what we're hearing, and we used it actually in front of Sam at our last event, and Lea was doing her thing, and well, I didn't even know there was somebody at the door because I was down in the corner asking questions and she couldn't hear me, and she had said, "There's a man at the door, come and sit down." And that was her husband. No one knew except for Sam. And we were, I didn't know until afterwards that he said, "How you weren't asking any questions, but that came through to Lea." So what was that about?
It was weird. Like, for me sitting there, I was going, "This is just rubbish." Absolutely. What? And then Sam's like, "Do you know what you just did?" I was like, No.
See, that one's a bit more intriguing for me. I'd like to try that myself because I spend a lot of time with headphones on listening to radio and stuff, right? Yeah, so that would be interesting. But yeah, just the picking up the radio and going, "Oh wow, look, I've picked something up," and you're going, "Come on," it sounds like Mike Hosking, right? You know what I mean?
The Estes stemmed from it was only 2017 that it was something that was actually created because people were going, "This is not reliable." Like, you've got so many influential factors going on in the room that you can see, that you can hear. We need to remove at least two of those sensors to actually.
Well, that's the thing.
It's
a well-known fact that if you blindfold someone and block their ears, the senses are heightened, right? Things. So that's. I'm more intrigued by that than I am with a radio just scanning backwards, right? That just, I'm like, no. And the other one that gets me is the old phone ones where it has a word bank, and apparently, like a ghost from 1863 can go into a cell phone and choose a word and send it to you. Right? It's like, I'm like, nah, come on.
Those ones definitely feel programmed.
Definitely. Yeah. So that's.
Looking forward to it. We are hosting an event at the end of the year. Location under wraps at the moment, but it is in Auckland. It's $60 a ticket for those of you who want to experience something really amazing. And there are certain people that have been in there that can't debunk what goes on in that place. So we're really looking forward to doing that, getting something like that under our belt. So, and then, potentially working a little bit more at the location and having me all the way down in another room in another part of the building with somebody taping me, and the same with Lea, so we can see how those questions and answers kind of lined up together. Yeah.
And also, if you're going to do that, because this is something else that when I watch these YouTube guys, I go, if you're going to film yourselves, set up cameras in the room so we can see the whole room as well, because there's so much of these ones will go, "Oh, look, what, I just saw over there," and the camera's on them. Like, no, like, I don't want to see your ugly mug. I want to see what's going on over there. You know what I mean? It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, filming yourself is all very well and your own reaction, but set something up so we can all see the rest of the room. Because There's one guy on there. There's one guy. The debunkers take the piss out of him all the time. Oh God, what is it? Midwest. Someone, a guy called Ian, and he walks around like this with a camera on his face the whole time, going, what was that? And I'm like, come on. It's just just
overseas, just so out the gate that every single second something is like, oh my God,
I know the American ones are terrible, eh? It's just
when something happens to us, we don't go run away. We go like, that was interesting.
that's kind of the weird thing, right, Leah? You want to go and investigate the paranormal because you're interested, right? And then I'm running away because it's a ghost. Well, what are you doing there? What are you there for? It's like, surely you go and have a look at it. You go to where the noise is, or I'm not going to run out the door and go, oh, it's a ghost.
I remember that happened at Helensville, actually. We had the open event, Paranormal New Zealand, and a whole lot of people were in the Headley house, and they were in that back room, and they just ran out, and I was like, what do you guys pay to be here for? Where did you come from? And I'm like, I want to be here.
Exactly. It's like,
you're like, put me in the room.
Because I kind of look at it, as I say, I look at what is that realm, and so if it's either A, an actual spirit, right, or B, it's, I don't know, say another dimension, because like, or another time, right? Are they actually going to hurt you? Have you ever heard of anyone really, like, legitimately being hurt by? Discount all this poltergeist crap and all this sort of demon stuff because I got but I'm talking about a physical ghost walks up to you and goes bang. You know what I mean? Like, why run away from it? Yeah, the ones that run away, I'm like,
at a beautiful location we did at Waikamete Cemetery, and always I kind of try not to overstep that boundary of, the people are laying there to rest, but we're always just drawn to where the babies are, and I kind of had I didn't actually know where they were, so I kind of drawn to there, and then we got there and we sort of sat down and I felt like something needed to be released. I didn't know what that was, so we just did an EVP, and I felt like it was a child, a little girl, but I don't know if she was a baby. But whatever it was, we had to help her towards the light. It was so beautiful. We felt like we did something, and confirmation for us, actually, Leah seen it before me, is a big kingfisher went straight over her head, and we were like, okay, so what does that mean?
I've seen that video. So that brings up an interesting question for me. You see, now again, this gets back to, I guess, the traditional way of how people view things. Okay, so you're in a cemetery. The bodies are in the cemetery. Okay, so the traditional way of looking at it is that the spirits left the body before the body gets buried. So what you're saying, what you're suggesting, okay, is that might not actually be what happens. Maybe the spirit stays with the body.
I think with this particular place, it was the influenza graves, mass graves.
Yeah.
So slightly different to a traditional proper burial.
Unmarked.
A lot of them were unmarked, unregistered properly, unfortunately. It's a good question, though. I mean, for us, I was quite fascinated by the Māori tradition that the kingfisher does symbolise a spirit moving from one world to another. I mean, it's weird because in Auckland we see a kingfisher maybe, once a year. It's just such coincidental timing, but at the same time, it is also coincidental timing. Like, it could have been, it felt like we helped, and that was a nice feeling, regardless of whether we did or didn't.
Exactly, but you see, you brought something up that I guess challenges the traditional belief of, you know what I'm saying, like the spirit. If the spirit goes with the body when you bury it or when you burn it, that changes the way we should all be looking at it, doesn't it? Because the traditional thing is the person dies, the spirit leaves the body's just the body, but maybe it's not.
Maybe it's not, yeah. Although there's nothing to say, because, I mean, you have locations where there are unmarked graves and you get paranormal or paranormal activity. Why would a graveyard be any different?
But they also say, too, if somebody ends their own life, they say that because they've ended their life, sometimes, I guess, do they become confused and they don't cross over, or they're not meant to go, and sometimes obviously might be a mistake, who knows, but do do they not actually cross over because it takes them a long time to get to where they should be or where they're supposed to be?
There's so many questions. See, that brings up then if you're like hanging around for eternity or whatever, why the hell do you want to hang around in the graveyard? Find your favourite place and go there. Like, you know, I'll go to one of the theatres I like hanging out in. You know what I mean? Like, you see what I'm saying? It's kind of like, I'm not poo-pooing on what you're saying about the cemetery. What I'm saying is it challenges and it changes the way you think, because traditionally you don't think, oh, something in the cemetery. You discount that because of the traditional way of looking at things, right? You know? It's like what I'm going to bring up now about the poltergeists and the demons and all that sort of thing, where I often think, how do you say, poltergeists and demons are manufactured by the church to drum up business. Now, why? Now, hear me out, right? If you get a possession, right, supposedly, or a demon, you have to call a priest to come and get rid of it. Like, I can't just go and get some water and bless it and flick it around the house. Mm-hmm. Apparently, only a Catholic priest can do it. Why? Why can't I get my mate who's a druid up the road to come and do it? Or the Jewish fellow that lives down there. See what I'm saying? Demons and possessions manufactured by the church.
When I first got into paranormal, it was a house in Christchurch that we moved into. We had some very strange things happening, to a point that one night I did go to the church and get a Catholic priest to come to our house. Mm-hmm. And the thing was, he left me the holy water afterwards and went, if you need it, just use it yourself.
Yeah, but see, that's what I'm saying is, well, maybe you get what I'm saying. You've got to get the Catholic priest. Can't be the druid. It can't be my Satanist mate. It's got to be. You see what I mean? And I kind of discount when these people start going, it's demonic or it's a demon. I more think of, like, if you look at the ancient pagans, where there was good gods and bad gods, or good spirits and bad, not so much demonic, but maybe it's just a bad, well, not bad, but you know what I'm saying, negative. It's like, I just think some of this crap is.
Yeah.
Again, it's the Christian belief of the Western society which drives what we think when we do these things, you know? And there's, it's a demon! Is the church laughing at you, saying, come get business, you know?
As paranormalists, we should actually be reading the proper history of these things, to be honest. And that's, you know, that's more that we need to get into as a historical side and context. It's really valid. That's
interesting to me that it's always... You know, Father so-and-so from the monastery had to come and exorcise the... Why? So the question would be, why him? And you can't do it because you're not trained in it. Okay.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it poses the question, why did I feel the need to run down to the church? I don't know. I think it was the first time I'd encountered something, and that's what you're told to do in those situations. These days, I'd be like, let's investigate it.
See, I wonder if it goes back thousands of years when Christianity was starting to take over as the main religion in Western world, right? And they're going, right, how can we get people? So we've got to convince these people that come and join us, right? Okay, so we've got some because the Roman emperor's become a Christian and he's told them all that, and but these other ones over here are still hanging on to their old religion. So what if we tell them that that's a demon, and if they don't convert, you see, is what I'm saying? And so that's where the demon thing comes from, because I just...
Likewise, though, it does open up the question, because more than just Christianity do have these stories. Why is there a similar root across different religions then?
Well, they're all trying to get you to come and join their religion.
Maybe.
You see? I mean, I don't know. I'm just, you know what I'm saying? It is interesting. But then you look at the native people around the world and how they look at it. The American Indians, the Maoris, they have different ways of looking at this, you know, spirits. I mean, I met some Navajo people, 30 years ago, and they talked about how they lived with the spirits. The spirits of their ancestors were with them, you know, and it wasn't anything to fear, and it wasn't anything to worry about, and their ceremonies were based on communicating with them. So, yeah, it's very fascinating how it all, you know, the one theory that I have, which it all comes back to Star Trek. Okay. Everything I learned in life I learned from Star Trek is what I say. Because there was an episode of Deep Space Nine where somehow, and it's so long ago since I watched it, I'll have to watch it again, but one of the characters ends up in a parallel universe, okay? because the two universes come together like this. They touch and they overlap and then they pull away. And he's in the parallel universe and he's looking at his crewmates and he's walking along going, hey, John. John can't see him or hear him, but he can see John. And so is it a parallel universe? Is that what we're seeing and feeling when or sensing when we hear it? It's a parallel universe. At a particular point in time, the two universes come together for that brief moment. And in that brief moment that you hear or see something, that's the two universes coming together.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing to say it is. There's nothing to say it isn't. It's
See,
the beauty
Star
of
Trek.
it.
Star Trek. It all comes back to Star Trek.
Or Doctor Who.
So no. I mean, you guys. I mean, what do you think personally? I mean, that's what I think. For want of a better term, that particular side of the paranormal is. I mean, what do you think? You look at it the traditional way, and particularly you, Mel, with your medium. Could what I've just described be what you're feeling and hearing and seeing?
That's exactly what and how I receive my messages, is clairaudiently mostly. And so I don't like see things like right there. I might feel something or the energy has changed, like something has moved through, but I see maybe snapshots or screenshots or something like that where I kind of need to decipher what was that. I kind of put it back in my mind and carry on what I was doing and then figure out how it was relevant, you know?
So that could go to my theory, where you're seeing a snapshot of time in another universe for a second and then you're walking and then it goes away. Or interesting. In my years working in theatre, I went to different theatres around the country and people would say, oh, you know, yeah, there's several ghosts here, and one was someone who worked here, and one was an actress that toured here, and one was, and so just for shits and giggles, we'll say that the spiritual, that part of the paranormal, the spiritual world is how everyone perceives it, that it's a spirit, you know, as a ghost, intelligent, whatever. So can they travel? Can they go, oh, I've died now, I think I might go and travel to my favourite theatre that I worked in, and I'll go and hang out there for, you know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because
I mean, it's a fiction. You've got multiple theatres in Auckland that purport to have the exact same ghost.
But see, also the Lake House Arts Centre, where I've been there, and you know, Mark said that has told me that was in a different location, so it was moved from that location. Now, so that
Twice.
Yeah, so that begs the question: is a spirit attached to the land or the area, or is it attached to the building?
I find the Lake House interesting. That's where I met Mark, actually. That's how Finn and I met him. There's a second question to ask at Lake House, though. If it is, my first question, and I don't recall them talking about this in their ghost tour, was, did the ghost have a record of being in the building before it was moved? And if not, given that it's on an old rubbish dump that's methane monitored.
That's a good question. I've wondered that, and I don't know if I've ever asked Mark that. I must, because, was there any record of the ghost ever being in the house beforehand? Or, yes, you see, interesting.
What did you think of the location?
Well,
did you find anything interesting?
The night we were there, the problem was the night we were there, it was like a Halloween weekend. So there was hundreds of people in the place for hours, you know, and then we're there with Mark and the guys afterwards. And there was nothing really happened, but then I was sort of sitting there thinking to myself, if I'm a spirit, I'm absolutely fed up by 10 o'clock at night because I've had all these people through the place all night, and the last thing I want to do is bloody interact with anybody, you know what I mean?
To be honest, that's something we found, isn't it? That particularly at the last one we went to at Theatre Works Birkenhead, there was all this activity quite early on, was really intriguing, and then just nothing for about 10 o'clock. And I went, maybe the ghost's over it. Like, going, come here.
Us in our own lives, you know, you get tired and you just go, I've had enough, stuff it.
Yeah.
So,
and I think locations, it's happened to us multiple times. The most action we get is until about 8-9 o'clock.
But we always know a little bit of the background, like, okay, so there's Peggy or whoever, a ghost here. So we're all sitting there in different rooms asking for this one spirit to come in and, you know, have a chat, you know, all this sort of stuff. And it's like, oh my God, this poor little kid's going all over the place. And it's like,
exactly.
I kind of like going past midnight and kind of looking into that witching hour.
Yeah, well, see, we're going to take a bit of a break now. When I come back, I'm going to talk about timing, because this is another thing that I wonder about. So this is Paranormal After Dark with the Roadie here on Rocket FM, and I've got Mel and Lea here from Spirit and the Skeptic out of Auckland. We'll be right back after this.
Rocket 88.0 FM.
Paranormal After Dark with the Roadie.
Want some more understanding. Well, I need some help, my friend. Someone who will not lie to me. Please tell me where I stand. Well, I can't help feeling so misled. Now I'm all alone. Well, I feel I've lost my will to fight. I'm so far from home. Dying is hard when you're on your own. Time has come to leave the mortal cold. Lies are heard, hide the truth I know. Deceiver comes for me and steals my soul. Steals my soul. Darkness falls upon me. My mind clouds in rain. But nothing's feeling real to me. Consumed by the pain. Dying is hard when you're on your own. Time has come to leave a mortal cold. Lies I've heard, hide the truth I know. Deceiver comes for me
From 1993, Christchurch's Tempest from the album Precious Times, Deceiver. You're on Rocket FM, and this is Paranormal After Dark with the Roadie. My guests this show, Mel and Lea from Spirit and the Skeptic, paranormal investigators from Auckland. Now, guys, we're back, and I want to talk about timing. You see, this is the other thing. People always go on investigations at night. Now, if for example, a theatre, I get that, okay, because most of the stuff happens in theatres at night or in the evening, potentially, the performing part of it anyway, okay? But I often wonder, people go to houses, especially I watch these UK teams where they're so lucky they've got these old houses, abandoned houses, right, that they can just go into. Now, why would you go to a house at 11 o'clock at night, right? If, again, that you're assuming that whatever the spirit is in the place and living kind of in another realm in their house, right? If their normal life was they got up at 8 o'clock in the morning, had a cup of coffee, wandered around, watched TV, then went to bed at 10 o'clock, and you're there at 11 o'clock, potentially, you see what I'm going? So maybe you should be there at breakfast time.
About this. We have talked about this.
Conversation. Actually, I believe that in this location and in quite a few locations that doesn't matter whether it's daytime or nighttime, because apparently we're still getting evidence whether it's day or night, or do they settle down after dark and that's when they come out and do their thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you want to look at the different theories of it, if you want to say it's just repeated energy, right, then the repeated energy of, say, a house during the day, right, is when people are doing their things, and then at night they're asleep. So does the energy repeat at that time? I've talked about this with Mark. It was one of the old houses in that village, it's up there, Howick Village, where he said that he's had activity there during the day, and he's gone back at the same time during the day, and that's been around again. So that goes to the theory of, so if you're getting the repeat energy at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Monday, then are you going to get that again on a Tuesday and a Wednesday? Because that's when that energy was with a living being, it was at that time of the day. So why would you go there at 11 o'clock at night? Because any energy that was around was sleeping energy, if you like. If you understand what I'm saying when I say sleeping. I mean, I myself, I work night shift. I spent most of my life working night shift. I stay up all night. So when I die, I'll be wandering around at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? But my family all go to bed at 10 o'clock. So when they die, if you want to get them, they're going to be like in bed by 10 o'clock. You see what I mean? It's that kind
100%. I mean, that's what we've found is these locations we have done during the day are as equally interesting as they would be at night.
That's where I think sometimes people are potentially missing the boat. They're going along at night going, oh, it's dark and my senses are heightened. But maybe you've just got to go sit in the house in the middle of the day and just quietly listen and set your things up and whatever, because maybe that's when either the energy or the spirit is around doing its thing.
I think you raise a fair point about the senses, though. That's possibly why people do feel like they catch more at night, is that sensory deprivation. But you can recreate that during the day. A couple of blindfolds,
It's really
Can't see what you're doing.
I spend a lot of time. I spend a lot of time walking around outside at night, and I can tell you that really night's no different than a day. It's just dark. Once you're used to it, right? Once you get used to it, right, it's not any different. But I get people that don't walk around at night think, oh, I'm a bit heightened because of it. But it's some investigators don't think outside the box. You're in a house, you're going, oh, I want to communicate with a spirit. What if the spirit's a dog or a budgie or a cat? Right?
Yep, 100%. This is kind of one of our big things I think that we need to make quite clear about us is we don't discount strategies. We just don't discount possibilities. I think too many investigators go, REM pod's been discounted out the window. Until you try it yourself and you come to that conclusion yourself, anything's on the table. And that's where we're starting from. We're quite new at this, so we are working our way through each of these different processes, doing research into it too, like actually looking up these things and how these things work, because you don't know. Right?
No,
you don't know, right?
But you're right. You don't know.
Right.
I'm going to swerve on to my favourite one now is aliens and UFOs. Right? And I've got to go down that road because that's always been my paranormal thing since I was a little boy. The UFO thing, or what do they call them now? UAPs or whatever the. when I was a kid, it was a bang, that's it. Aliens, definitely, they come here, they come to visit. I watch Star Trek every Saturday morning. It's definitely aliens, right? But as I've got older and I've looked into other things, I wonder if, perhaps you can tie that into the same... What we're seeing as a ghost, perhaps, is somehow connected to that.
Yeah, particularly cryptids.
Cryptids, or even interdimensional beings, or time traveling beings. So you start to look at it and you go, oh, is this all connected? I don't know. It's kind of.
It's really a thing. Are they real?
Yeah, I mean, not even almost scientifically, but not quite scientifically. Let's be honest. There's such an unlikely possibility that we're alone out here. It's not a possibility.
And the thing is, that's right. But it's the arrogance of mankind, right? This is what really pisses me off about it, is that you have the situation where we go, no, it's impossible to travel across the galaxy from another planet because you can't travel faster than the speed of light. Blah 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 blah. Now, we're only as a civilization, 4,000 or 5,000 years, right? What's to say there isn't a civilization that's been around 10, 20,000 years that's worked out how to warp time and space like Star Trek do, So, no, but you see what I mean? I mean, it's the arrogance of... It's the arrogance of man. Oh, there can't be anyone more superior than us.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
The one that used to really grate me as a young fella growing up in the 70s was... you'd have these scientists come out and go, we've sent the Viking probes to Mars, but there's no life on Mars. And I go, no, stop. What you should, and this is me as only a 10-year-old thinking this, shouldn't you be saying there's no life as we know it on Mars?
Yeah.
Now, I qualify that by saying, Star Trek again. There was an episode of the original series called The Devil in the Dark, where came to help this mining colony that was being attacked by something that they couldn't see in the dark. And it turned out it was a silicone-based life form that looked like a rock. Now, what's to say we've got this probe on Mars taking photos and all those rocks of like beings laughing at it? You know what I mean? The whole thing is, could the paranormal be that? Could it be just beings kind of from another dimension, another time, or is it a spiritual realm as we think? And then if there is a spiritual realm, is that somehow tied into other civilizations and other planets?
Yep.
I've actually had a lot of mediums say, which I think is a crock of crap, but that people that are shitty in life, when they die, because they were bad people or they did some really bad stuff in life, do they become demons? Do they become, because they weren't nice when they were alive, do they become something else when they pass over?
Well, you see, that's the thing, is like, looking at that, the demon thing, could a demon be the spirit of an extraterrestrial that somehow travelled here, and we think it's a demon because it's quite different to us? This is the whole tie-in thing, you see. One of my favourite bands, Dio. Well, you're probably not into heavy metal. It doesn't matter if you are or not. But they did an album in 1983, 84 called Holy Diver. And the title track to the album was Holy Diver. And the late singer Ronnie James Dio once was interviewed and said, what the hell's this song about? Because they're a holy diver. Oh, it must be satanic. And he said, no. He said, I wrote this story because something came to me one night that it was about a Christ-like figure on another world who travelled between worlds, right, and saved people or saved cultures. And at the end of this song was about this particular world he's on. They've basically said, that's it, we don't need you anymore, you're done. So, holy diver, you're in the midnight sea, what's become of me, blah, blah. So, it was a story about him saving them and then moving on because his job was done there. So, where did that come from? It's kind of like I like to end my show with something that Alan J. Hynek said, who was a scientific investigator with Project Blue Book in the 60s. At the end of the day, it's all just swamp gas. So,
all that work.
So what is swamp gas? But
Oh, funny.
That's the thing, we'll never really know the answers. I mean, we search in the pursuit of things and answers. We try different strategies. We try being open to things. But will we ever actually definitively know? Because everything can be debunked in some way, shape or form.
Thanks, Lee. Thanks, Mel. And we'll leave it there. We will hear more from Mel and Lee. I've got more from my session I recorded with them to come on in the coming weeks. So we'll hear more from the team then. As usual, to take the show out then, the theme song from Christchurch band Sins of Eve, Creeping. See you next time on Paranormal After Dark.
myself this. Are you prepared? Something's falling for you.